Welcome to Coffee and Comments. We are now in round 2 of our bracket challenge, and we've officially started March Madness. It's getting real. College basketball is true March Madness, but I'm talking about our bracket. It's March Madness. Things are about to get fun. We're getting into round 2. People are going to get knocked off. Your favorite TV show growing up might lose. It is what it is. You got to accept it. It's life. They might lose. In the first matchup of round 2, we have SpongeBob versus iCarly. And iCarly was a great show. I loved it. Spaghetti tacos is still something I want to try, oddly enough. I don't know why, but I remember seeing it in the show, so therefore I want to try it in real life. But SpongeBob is the best show. Hands down, SpongeBob is one of the best Nickelodeon shows ever. It's hard to top it. iCarly is one of the top shows too, but SpongeBob is hilarious. It's one of my, childhood memories. It's ingrained in me from, I don't know how many, maybe year 3 or year 4 growing up, and still to this day, probably quote SpongeBob, and there's so many SpongeBob memes. iCarly is fun, it's hilarious, but SpongeBob wins. In the second matchup of round 2, we have All That versus Danny Phantom, and All That destroys Danny Phantom. Danny Phantom was really good, but All That was amazing. Literally, it was the SNL for little kids. There's so many characters came from that. If you look at the cast of who was on All That, they've gone on to do a lot of great things, right? Including Keenan, who's now on SNL. So he went from Kids SNL to the regular SNL. In the next matchup, we have Zoey 101 versus Drake and Josh. And out of those two shows on Nickelodeon, Zoey 101 was better. Hands down, the best non-animated show on Nickelodeon was Zoey 101. If you didn't watch it, you missed out. Zoey 101 was a great show. Drake and Josh was too, don't get me wrong. I enjoy Drake and Josh. I know there's a lot of Drake and Josh stands out there, but for me, Zoey 101 hands down was better than Drake and Josh. In the next matchup, we have Rugrats versus the Wild Thornberrys. Easy, Rugrats, no need to explain. I'm sure you realize it too. You're like, yeah, Rugrats versus Wild Thornberrys. Rugrats wins. That's easy. So that wraps up round 2 of our Nickelodeon bracket. Now we're going to get into round 2 of our Disney bracket. The first matchup that we have on this one is Lizzie McGuire versus Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb was funny, but I never finished the show. It was good, but Lizzie McGuire, fantastic, great Disney show. Lizzie McGuire beats Phineas and Ferb pretty easily. In the next matchup, we have Wizards of Waverly Place versus That's So Raven. And I know a lot of you guys are like, that's easy. That's So Raven wins this one, but this is actually a harder matchup for me because I love Wizards of Waverly Place. I watched literally every single episode of Wizards, and I love That's So Raven. I love Wizards too, so this is honestly one of the harder matches for me. I'm going to go with That's So Raven though, because it was just iconic. And if I had to rewatch both shows, I probably would watch That's So Raven over Wizards of Waverly Place, and that's just me. In the next matchup, we have Phil of the Future versus Kim Possible. And Kim Possible was a great show, but if I'm thinking of what show would I rewatch right now, I would probably go with Phil of the Future because I loved it. And I wish the ending would have ended differently than it did. It kind of was a pretty abrupt ending. I wish they would have kept it going for a little bit longer. But it was an amazing show. It's one of the most slept on, I think, Disney shows that ever came out. Kim Possible is amazing. It's one of the best shows ever. But rewatchability is a big factor into my decision making. And I'd rather watch Phil of the Future right now versus Kim Possible. And lastly, to wrap up round 2 of the Disney bracket, we have Proud Family versus Boy Meets World. And this is, out of all these, on this left-hand side at least, the toughest matchup for me. Because the Proud Family was that show back in the day, and I enjoyed it. I remember watching the Proud Family movie and doing that dance that What's-Her-Face did in the movie where she's like, that was, that's still to this day one of the greatest dance scenes I've ever seen in a regular show or in the movie. Still one of my favorite dance scenes. But Boy Meets World is just iconic. I can't vote against Boy Meets World. So that wraps up round 2 of the left-hand side of our bracket. So here is the updated bracket with those winners. We're going to keep this bracket updated throughout March Madness. Next week, we'll get into this side of the bracket, talk about round 2 winners, round 3 coming the following week, as well as round 4. Same day, same video. And so stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in, Coffee and Comments.